Thanks for joining me. My name's Josh, and this is the very first episode of Dirt Floor Garage. And behind me here is my 1986 Buick T-Type that I purchased about 6 months ago. Car's been registered in Florida, but it's been floating around. It's been everywhere in the Midwest where it came from when I bought it, but it wasn't a very good car. I should have never have bought this thing, but that's a different story. But I've been working on it for about 6 months, and I've been doing a ton of body work to it because this thing had so many layers of paint on it, and it was just a mess. Still is a mess, but less of a mess. But a couple cool things about this car is factory black car. Looked kind of like a Grand National, except it said T-Type on it, and it had a grill emblem and some chrome bumpers, and it came with some different wheels. But basically, it looked like a Grand National. I mean, had gray interior and everything on this car. So, if you didn't know what you're looking at a weird-looking Grand National. But I kind of like it. It's T-Type. But this car is going to stick with the original engine, because the original engine is toast, and I'm not buying another 6-cylinder engine to put back in here. But this car has had a super hard life. The frame is completely destroyed. I'm not going to be reusing that. Frame's sitting out back, but it had way too many issues. I was going to try to save it, but there is no saving this frame. And I'm going to show you the door here. Kind of show you how many different layers of paint here. Look here. Paint, gray, black, gray, black, gray, black, gray, black, gray. Yeah, at some point this car was painted two-tone, even though this car wasn't two-tone from the factory. This car was solid black. So they were trying to dress it up to make it look like something else. Or the car was stolen and got vintage switched with something else. Who knows? This thing's full of surprises. A lot of things don't match up on this, and I'll kind of show you around. Like, one of the things that doesn't match up, the car's supposed to have a digital dash according to the RPO code that was in the trunk. Well, it wasn't in the trunk when I got it, but it matches the VIN tags, so no digital dash. Had the needle analog dash. Supposed to have upgraded speakers. It's missing speakers, no wires, no nothing. Okay, I could take that. Okay, someone switched out the dash. Okay, different speakers. It's supposed to have a power antenna, but on the inner structure here, it's supposed to be a little spot to bolt the power antenna. Not there. So this inner structure here, where the fender sits, is not original to this car, which I'm guessing. And they didn't find one with a power antenna, put it on there, or it's the original one and the car never came with a power antenna kind of thing. But did some work on the firewall here. This whole section right here was pushed back. This car got hit, and the motor and steering shaft went in and pushed this whole thing back. You can kind of see a dent here, but it's nowhere as bad as where it was. This was all messed up. Like, really, really messed up. You can kind of still see. I don't know if you can see or not. There's some little pry marks from where previous people had worked on it and pried on it. I wasn't going to take the time to fix it. Right there, not a big issue, but you could definitely tell where somebody was messing around. And then I got new fender over there. That's off of like an 82 or 83. I don't remember where I got it, what year car I got it from. But the original one was so bad and warped and full of body filler. It was not savable at all. And got the original driver's side here. Haven't dug into that one yet. We'll see how bad that one is. But I do have factory GN seats. I'm not making this a clone, so I'm going to reupholster those, get those all redone. I don't want it to be a Grand National clone. That's not what I'm building here. I'm building a T-Type my way, because originally when I was buying this car, I wanted to make it original. But with all the issues with this car and the frame being bad, engine parts missing, brackets, it's a long story. Long story. I'm just moving on, and I'm going to build this thing the way I want to build it. Because I would go broke if I had to buy all that other stuff individually. It's ridiculously expensive just for like engine brackets for accessories. So, got the driver's door and primer here. Looking pretty good. This thing was full of body filler for like no reason at all. I spent like an hour of hammer and dolly time on it and got it looking really nice. Maybe a skim coat of glaze here and there, but nowhere near where it was before. I wish I had before and after pictures, but turned out super nice. And you can tell here, doesn't sound like there's a ton of Bondo in it or body filler, because there isn't. I just took the time, stripped it down, and went to town. Just doing a little metal work. Another crazy thing on this car was the roof situation. The roof was very bad shape. It was all warped. It was cracking. I started digging into it. I was like, why is the roof cracking? It was full of body filler. At least 2 layers at 2 different points in its life. It's like the roof got damaged, and then somebody filled it, and then years later something happened, maybe it started cracking or whatever, then they put another layer on top of it. So I went back and I took all that filler out, and I could see where they used, like, let's say maybe a 40 grit grinding disc on it, and just went to town, and that warped the whole roof where they were grinding on to put the body filler. So there was sections of body filler and original paint underneath, and it was just really shoddy work. So I went through and stripped the whole entire roof on this thing, and got my dolly out, hammered. I had to do a little shrinking on the metal, do a little finessing with it. It took me about 2.5 weeks, and I finally got it to where I like it. And now I got it in the second coat of primer. It's not ready for paint or anything like that, but at least it's in a spot where I'm not really worried about it. If you know what I mean, like, I know what's underneath there, so it's looking really good. We'll just hop up here. Let's take a peek. Like I said, it's nowhere close to being finished, but there were like giant cracks where the body filler was because it was so thick. And this roof is really stinking flimsy. But you can tap on it. Sounds like a drum, because there's hardly any filler in it anymore. I'm going to try to find some pictures, if I can find them, of what it was like before. It was bad. But here's a quarter panel. Pretty much how it was when I bought the car. It was in this flat black. Kind of scuffed it up a little bit, just kind of see what was underneath it, because I found some surprises on everything else on this car, so just kind of wanted to see. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Rear section of the car, I've already done some work to. As you can tell here, looks pretty nice. It's because I've already worked on it. And it's all going to get redone anyway. I'm not keeping that paint on there, so we're going to sand that down. And I'm going to do a 2-step paint on this instead of a single stage acrylic paint that it came with. I think it'll look nicer. I'm going to daily drive this, cruise, go to shows kind of thing. So I want it to look a little better than factory paint. So that's what I'm going to do. But down here in this spare tire well, I guess you would call it, this was all smashed in. This car must have been rear-ended or something. Something hit it right in this area, right here, and was completely buckled in. So I got in there with like a 2x4 and a sledgehammer and just hammered it out. Hammered until I got it out. And turned out super nice. You can tell here. Looks like nothing ever happened to it. And I didn't use any filler or nothing on that one. So super proud on that. But take a peek under here. This car has like no rust at all underneath it. But I did have to replace the entire floor from the firewall seam to the back seats. And if you don't know this, the rear seat section doesn't come in a full pan. It's weird. Like, you would think that says full pan, it'd be the whole thing, but it's not. It stops right at the rear seat. So I had to go get a donor car and cut the rear floor out of it and splice it into the new aftermarket pan that I put into it. So it was like double the work. It was a real pain. And if I would have known that, I would have just used the whole donor car. But I had already purchased the front section thinking that it would be all complete, but it wasn't. So just something to think about if you're going to build one of these and you need to replace the whole pan, not just like a section of it. I had to replace the whole tunnel and everything. It doesn't come with the rear section. So let me take a peek underneath here, kind of show you what it looks like underneath now. Ugh. Turned out super nice. I'm really kind of proud of myself for doing that. It's the first time ever doing anything like this, and I'm using a real crappy welder, you know, Flex Core 110 welder, but got through it. Plug welds, not very fun, but yeah, I'll take you outside, show you the frame, part of the frame, and kind of what I'm thinking to do with this car. So we'll walk out there. We'll see in a minute. Oh, I just remembered this. Check this out. Okay, I got my regular hood here. This is the hood that came with the car. Don't mind the scratches. I was dragging some stuff around on it in the driveway. Driveway's gravel. I wasn't going to reuse the hood. I got an aftermarket one for it because this one was so trash. I'm going to show you why I wasn't going to reuse it. I'm going to flip it onto this back here. Take a peek here. Look at this. Look at all these welds. Somebody had cut the turbo bulge out of another hood and welded it to another one. So it's two hoods essentially, and the brace is missing right here. It's got extra metal right here. I don't know what they were doing there. It's cut here. It's got cuts up here. It's rusted out. Wow, that could have hurt. But yeah, this is why I'm not using this hood. Just real shoddy work. Everything else on the car is basically like that. It's just hidden stuff that's garbage. So out here, the frame. Frame's buckled here, twisted down here, brackets crushed. So it's buckled right here. This whole frame section here on the passenger side was pressed up against the body because it was bowed out so far. Another reason why I'm not using it. Rusted out body mount. The driver's front horn on the frame is completely pushed back. This section of the frame here is about a ½ an inch shorter than it is on the passenger side. I'm pretty sure this car got hit on both sides, but this side is way shorter, way shorter. And there's just buckles up here, there's buckles back here, there's buckles here, it's buckled here. It's not in good shape at all. So that's why I'm going to try to get a new frame. Well, I'm going to have to get a new frame. Not sure what I'm going to do for frame, but we'll figure it out. I got the original transmission right here, bolted, something crazy, 5.3 liter truck engine out of a Chevy Silverado. I don't know if I'm going to use this transmission or not, but we're going to see. I've watched a few things where people have adapted these transmissions to the bell housing of an LS series engine. If you look here, the lower bell housing bolts fit fine, but the uppers don't match up, and there's not even an ear or tab for the top. So I don't know how they did it. I might figure it out, might not figure it out, we'll see. But that is my very first introductory video on my Buick T-Type, and we'll just have fun with this, see what happens. So if you like my video and want to learn more and kind of watch this thing progress, like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. See you next time.